The letter that changed everything. The mailbox key felt cold in my hand as I stood in the lobby of my apartment building. It was a Tuesday afternoon in late September, and the air carried that crisp feeling of autumn beginning. I had just finished a long shift at the hospital where I worked as a nurse, and my feet ached in my comfortable shoes. All I wanted was to grab my mail, heat up some leftover pasta, and watch my favorite show. I turned the key and pulled out a stack of envelopes. Bills mostly. A grocery store coupon book. And then I saw it. A thick, cream-colored envelope with elegant gold lettering. The kind of envelope that meant something important. A wedding invitation. My heart did a little jump. I loved weddings. There was something magical about seeing two people promise forever to each other. I turned the envelope over, already smiling, ready to see which cousin or co-worker was getting married. But the name on the envelope made me freeze. It wasn't addressed to me. It was addressed to Mrs. Patricia Chun, my elderly neighbor in apartment 3B. But I recognized that handwriting on the return address. I would know it anywhere. Elegant, flowing letters that spelled out Sarah Mitchell. Sarah. My best friend since we were 13 years old. My hands started to shake. This had to be a mistake. Sarah was getting married, and I was finding out because her invitation was accidentally delivered to my mailbox? When your best friend becomes a stranger. I stood there in that lobby for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. My mind raced backward through the past few months. When was the last time I had actually seen Sarah? We used to talk every day. Video calls, text messages, meeting for coffee or lunch at least twice a week. She was the person I told everything to. The person who knew me better than anyone. But now that I thought about it, our communication had been fading. At first, it was small. She would take longer to respond to texts. She would cancel plans at the last minute. Work is crazy, she would say. Or, I'm just so tired. I understood. Life gets busy. I was busy too, with my nursing shifts and taking care of my mom who had health issues. The last time we met for coffee was maybe 2 months ago. She seemed distracted that day. Checked her phone constantly. Talked about her new boyfriend Marcus, but in a vague way. She didn't invite me to meet him. That should have been my first clue. I walked up to apartment 3B and knocked on Mrs. Chen's door. She answered with her usual warm smile, her gray hair pulled back in a neat bun. Emma dear, how lovely to see you, she said. Hi, Mrs. Chun. I think your mail got mixed with mine. I handed her the cream envelope, my voice sounding strange even to my own ears. She looked at it, and her eyes softened with sympathy. Oh, sweetheart. This is for me. Are you sure? That's your name on it, I said quietly. Mrs. Chen looked at me with the kind of understanding that only someone who has lived many years can have. Would you like to come in for some tea? I shook my head. Thank you, but I need to make a phone call. The phone call that broke my heart. Back in my apartment, I sat on my couch staring at my phone. Sarah's number was right there in my favorites. I had called her 1,000 times. But this time, my finger hesitated over her name. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe she sent my invitation separately. Maybe it was coming tomorrow. Maybe she wanted to tell me in person as a surprise. But deep in my heart, I knew the truth. I just didn't want to believe it. I pressed call. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. I thought it might go to voicemail, which would almost be a relief. But then she answered. Emma. Hi. Her voice was too bright, too cheerful. The voice of someone who was pretending everything was in. Hey, Sarah. I tried to keep my voice steady. How are you? Oh, busy. Work has been absolutely insane. I've been meaning to call you, but time just keeps slipping away. There was an awkward pause. In the old days, we never had awkward pauses. Our conversations flowed like water, easy and natural. Sarah, I need to ask you something. Another pause. This one longer. Okay. Are you getting married? The silence on the other end was deafening. I could hear her breathing, could almost feel her thinking, trying to figure out how I knew. Emma, yes. I am. I was going to tell you. When? After the wedding? That's not fair. Her voice had an edge now. Defensive. What's not fair is finding out my best friend is getting married because her invitation ended up in my mailbox by mistake. Addressed to my neighbor. It ended up where? She sounded genuinely shocked. Mrs. Chin's invitation got delivered to me. I saw your handwriting, Sarah. Your return address. More silence. Then a long exhale. Emma, this is complicated. Complicated how? We've been best friends for 15 years. How is inviting me to your wedding complicated? You wouldn't understand. Something in her tone made my chest tighten. Try me. Emma, I'm marrying Marcus. He's from a different world. His family, his friends, they're all successful, sophisticated people. The wedding is going to be at his family's estate. Everything is very elegant and formal. And you don't think I fit in. It wasn't a question. It was the truth I had been afraid to see. I didn't say that. You didn't have to, Sarah. You're saying I'm not sophisticated enough. Not successful enough. What am I, Sarah? An embarrassment. You're twisting my words. Her voice rose. This is exactly why I didn't want to have this conversation. I knew you would make it about you. Make it about me? This is about me. You cut me out of your life without explanation. Without even the courtesy of telling me you were engaged. I've been there for you through everything. Everything, Sarah. Remember when you lost your job 2 years ago and couldn't pay rent? Who helped you? Remember when your dad died and you couldn't get out of bed for weeks? Who came over every single day? I know what you did for me, Emma. And I'm grateful. Grateful? You have a funny way of showing it. Sarah's voice changed then. Became cold in a way I had never heard before. The truth is, Emma, you don't fit into my new life anymore. Marcus and I are building something together. Something bigger than what I had before. I can't keep dragging my past along with me. Those words hit me like a physical blow. Dragging my past. That's what I was to her now. Not her best friend. Not the person who knew all her secrets and dreams. Just baggage from a life she wanted to forget. So that's it. My voice cracked. 15 years of friendship, and you just throw it away? I'm not throwing anything away. I'm moving forward. Maybe you should try it sometime instead of staying stuck in the same place. That stung. She knew my life had been on hold while I took care of my mom. She knew I had put off going back to school, put off traveling, put off so many dreams. And now she was using it against me. You know what, Sarah? You're right. I should move forward. Starting now. Have a beautiful wedding. I hope you and Marcus are very happy together. I hung up before she could respond. Before she could hear me crying. The coffee shop revelation. For the next week, I moved through my days in a fog. I went to work, smiled at patients, took care of my mom, and came home to an empty apartment. I deleted Sarah's number from my favorites. Unfollowed her on social media. Tried to pretend the last 15 years hadn't meant anything. But it hurt. God, it hurt so much. I kept thinking about all the memories. Sarah and I meeting in middle school, both awkward girls who didn't quite fit in. Making friendship bracelets and promising to be friends forever. High school dances and college application stress. Her holding my hand at my father's funeral. Me helping her move into her first apartment. All those moments that made up a life together. How could she just erase all of that? On Saturday morning, I decided I needed to get out of my apartment before I lost my mind. I went to my favorite coffee shop, a small place called the Corner Bean, 3 blocks from my building. It was quiet and cozy, with mismatched furniture and local art on the walls. The kind of place Sarah used to call charming before she decided sophisticated meant expensive. I ordered my usual vanilla latte and found a corner table near the window. I brought a book, but couldn't focus on the words. My mind kept drifting back to Sarah, to the wedding I wouldn't attend, to the friendship that had died without warning. Excuse me, is this seat taken? I looked up to see an elegant older woman standing beside my table. She was maybe 60, with silver hair cut in a sharp bob, wearing a beautiful burgundy coat and carrying an expensive-looking leather bag. She had the kind of presence that made you sit up straighter. No, please. I gestured to the empty chair. She sat down gracefully, setting her coffee cup on the table. For a moment, we sat in comfortable silence. Then she spoke. Forgive me for being forward, but you look like someone carrying the weight of the world. Or perhaps the weight of a broken friendship. I stared at her, startled. I'm sorry, do I know you? She smiled gently. No, but I recognized that particular look of pain. I've seen it before. Someone you loved has hurt you deeply. There was something about her kind eyes that made me want to talk. Maybe it was because she was a stranger. Maybe it was because I had no one else to tell. My best friend is getting married, I said quietly. And she didn't invite me. Said I don't fit into her new life. The woman nodded slowly. How long have you been friends? 15 years. Since we were 13. That's a long time to throw away. She took a sip of her coffee. What's your name, dear? Emma. Emma Rodriguez. Catherine Hart. She extended her hand, and I shook it. Her grip was firm and warm. And your friend's name? Sarah Mitchell. Well, soon to be Sarah something else. She's marrying a man named Marcus. Something flickered across Catherine's face. Just for a second. But I caught it. You know him? I asked. Marcus. Catherine set down her cup carefully. I know of him. Marcus Castellano. Yes, that's him. How do you know him? Catherine looked at me for a long moment, as if deciding something. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out a business card. She slid it across the table. Catherine Hart, private investigator, specializing in fraud and financial crimes. My eyes widened. You're a private investigator? I am. And I've been looking into Marcus Castellano for several months now. My heart started beating faster. Why? What did he do? That's a conversation for another time and place. But Emma, I need to ask you something important. How much do you care about Sarah? Even after what she did to you? I hesitated. I'm angry at her. Really angry. But I don't want anything bad to happen to her. Catherine nodded. Good. Because I believe something very bad is about to happen to her. And you might be the only person who can stop it. She stood up, leaving her business card on the table. Call me when you're ready to hear the truth about Marcus Castellano. But be prepared, Emma. The truth is rarely pretty. And once you know it, you'll have to decide what to do with it. She walked away, leaving me sitting there with her card in my hand and 1,000 questions in my mind. I looked down at the simple white card with black lettering. A phone number, an email address, and a choice I would have to make. Did I walk away and let Sarah face whatever was coming? Or did I risk everything to save the friend who had thrown me away? I sat in that coffee shop for another hour, turning the card over and over in my hands. Outside the window, people walked by living their normal lives. Inside, my world had shifted again. Finally, I pulled out my phone. My fingers hovered over Catherine's number. Then I pressed call. Catherine Hart speaking. It's Emma. Emma Rodriguez. From the coffee shop. That was faster than I expected, she said. I could hear the approval in her voice. Tell me everything, I said. Tell me what Marcus is planning to do to Sarah. Meet me at my office in 1 hour. And Emma, bring your courage. You're going to need it. I wrote down the address, paid for my coffee, and walked out into the autumn sunshine. My hands were shaking, but my mind was clear. Sarah had said I was dragging her past. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was exactly what she was trying to leave behind. But I was also the only person who might be able to save her future. And whether she wanted my help or not, she was going to get it. Because that's what real friends do. Even when it hurts. Even when they've been thrown away. Even when the person you're saving doesn't deserve it. The wedding was 3 weeks away. I had work to do. The private investigator's office. Catherine Hart's office was located in a modest building downtown, sandwiched between a dental clinic and a tax accountant's office. Nothing about it screamed private investigator. No neon signs, no dramatic music playing in the background like in movies. Just a simple door with frosted glass and her name painted in black letters. I stood outside for a moment, my hand on the door handle. Part of me wanted to turn around and go home. Pretend this whole thing wasn't happening. Let Sarah make her own mistakes. She had made it clear she didn't want me in her life anymore. But I couldn't. Despite everything, I couldn't just walk away. I pushed open the door. The office was small but organized. File cabinets lined one wall. A large desk sat in the center with 2 comfortable chairs facing it. Catherine was already there, sitting behind her desk with reading glasses perched on her nose, reviewing a thick folder. Emma, she said, looking up with a warm smile. Right on time. Please, sit down. I sat, my hands folded nervously in my lap. Now that I was here, I didn't know where to start. Catherine seemed to sense my hesitation. She closed the folder and removed her glasses. Let me start by explaining how I came to know about Marcus Castellano. 3 months ago, I was hired by a business partner of his, a man named David Chun who had invested $200,000 in one of Marcus's real estate ventures. What happened? I asked. The venture doesn't exist. The properties Marcus claimed to own were either fake or belonged to other people. David lost everything. His life savings, his daughter's college fund, money he had borrowed from family members. Catherine's voice was calm, but her eyes showed anger. David came to me after the police told him there wasn't enough evidence to prosecute. Marcus is very careful about covering his tracks. My stomach twisted. So he's a con artist. He's more than that. He's a predator who targets vulnerable people and destroys their lives systematically. Catherine opened the folder again and pulled out several photographs. She spread them across the desk. The first photo showed a beautiful blonde woman in her 30s, smiling at a beach. This is Jessica Ramsey. She married Marcus 4 years ago. Within 6 months, he had convinced her to liquidate her trust fund and invested in his business. 8 months after the wedding, Marcus disappeared. Jessica found out he had maxed out credit cards in her name, taken out loans using her house as collateral, and emptied her bank accounts. She lost everything and filed for bankruptcy. I felt sick. And no one arrested him? He's smart. Everything was technically legal. She willingly gave him access to her accounts. She signed the loan documents. The police said it was a civil matter, not criminal. Catherine pulled out another photo. This is Amanda Porter. She married Marcus 2 years ago. Same pattern. He isolated her from friends and family, convinced her he was investing her money wisely, then vanished. Amanda had inherited a successful bakery from her parents. Marcus sold it and disappeared with the money. Last I heard, Amanda was living with her sister and working 2 jobs to pay off the debts Marcus left behind. My hands were shaking. I thought about Sarah. Sweet, trusting Sarah who had always seen the best in people, who believed in fairy tales and happy endings. How does he get away with it? I whispered. Because he's charming, attractive. He knows exactly what to say and how to act. He targets women who have money but also have vulnerabilities. Jessica had just lost her father and inherited his estate. Amanda was struggling to run her bakery alone after her parents died. And Sarah's father died 2 years ago, I said quietly. He left her a large inheritance, around $300,000. Catherine nodded grimly. I know. I've been watching Marcus for weeks. I've seen him with Sarah. The pattern is exactly the same. She pulled out more documents. Bank statements, property records, marriage certificates. Each one told the same story. Marcus would appear, sweep a woman off her feet, marry her quickly, gain access to her money, and disappear. Why doesn't he just steal the money and run? I asked. Why go through with weddings? 2 reasons. First, marriage gives him legal access to assets that would be harder to get otherwise. Second, by the time the women realize what's happened, he's already gone. They're too embarrassed or devastated to pursue it. And Marcus always makes sure there's just enough legal cover that prosecuting him is nearly impossible. I looked at the photos of Jessica and Amanda. Both looked broken in the later pictures. Eyes empty, faces tired, lives destroyed. How long until he takes Sarah's money and leaves? I asked. Catherine checked her notes. Based on his previous timeline, I estimate he'll disappear within 2 weeks after the wedding. Maybe sooner. He's already started the process. Sarah transferred $200,000 into a joint account last month. What? My voice came out too loud. How do you know that? I have sources. The important thing is that Sarah is in danger. Not physical danger, but financial ruin. Marcus will take everything and vanish. She'll be left with nothing but debt and heartbreak. I stood up and walked to the window. Outside, people were going about their normal days. Shopping, working, living. They had no idea that in this small office, we were discussing how to stop a man from destroying my best friend's life. What can we do? I turned back to Catherine. You said the police won't help, that it's all technically legal. Catherine leaned back in her chair. That's where you come in, Emma. I can't stop him. I'm just an investigator. I can gather evidence, but I can't force Sarah to listen. But you're her friend. Or you were. She might listen to you. She won't, I said bitterly. She made it very clear that I'm not part of her life anymore. Then we need to make sure she can't ignore the evidence. We need to expose Marcus in a way that she can't deny or rationalize. The plan takes shape. For the next hour, Catherine and I developed a plan. It was risky. It might not work. But it was Sarah's only chance. The wedding is in 3 weeks, Catherine said, making notes. That gives us time to gather more concrete evidence. I need you to help me. How? I'm a nurse, not an investigator. You know Sarah better than anyone. You know how she thinks, what she values, what might make her listen. Catherine pulled out a fresh notepad. Tell me everything about Sarah. Her fears, her dreams, her weaknesses. I hesitated. It felt like a betrayal to share Sarah's secrets. But then I remembered her cold voice on the phone. You don't fit into my new life anymore. Maybe she had betrayed our friendship first. Sarah has always been romantic, I began. She believes in soulmates and destiny. Her parents had a great marriage before her dad died, and she always wanted what they had. She's also insecure. She grew up without much money. Always felt like she didn't belong with the wealthy kids at school. I think that's why Marcus appealed to her. He represents everything she thought she wanted. Catherine nodded, writing quickly. What about her relationship with her mother? Complicated. Her mom never approved of her choices. Always criticized her. Sarah spent years trying to prove she was good enough. When her dad died, it got worse. Her mom blamed Sarah for not visiting more, for not being there. Sarah carries a lot of guilt. And Marcus uses that, Catherine said. He makes her feel special. Chosen. Like she finally matters. Yes, I said quietly. That's exactly it. We spent another hour going through Sarah's life, her patterns, her vulnerabilities. It felt invasive and necessary at the same time. Finally, Catherine sat back. Here's what I propose. We continue gathering evidence on Marcus. I'll contact Jessica and Amanda, see if they'll provide written statements. I'll track his financial movements, document everything. Meanwhile, you try to reconnect with Sarah. She won't talk to me. Try anyway. Send her messages. Show up at places you know she'll be. Make it impossible for her to completely shut you out. The more Marcus sees you as a threat, the more mistakes he might make. And then what? Catherine's expression was serious. Then we expose him. At the wedding if necessary. In front of everyone. Make it impossible for Sarah to ignore the truth. She'll hate me, I said. Even if it works. Even if we save her, she'll never forgive me for ruining her wedding. Maybe not. But she'll be alive and financially stable. Sometimes being a real friend means accepting that you might lose the friendship to save the person. I thought about that. Could I live with Sarah hating me if it meant she was safe? The answer came quickly. Yes, I could. Because I actually loved her, not the idea of her or what she could do for me. Real love meant making hard choices. Okay, I said. I'm in. What do I do first? Reaching out to Sarah. That night, I sat on my couch with my phone in my hand. I had deleted Sarah's number from my favorites, but I still knew it by heart. I had called it thousands of times over 15 years. I typed out a message. Sarah, I know you don't want to hear from me, but I'm worried about you. Can we please talk? Just coffee. 30 minutes. I promise I won't make it difficult. I just miss my friend. I hit send before I could change my mind. The message showed as delivered. Then read. I watched the 3 dots appear, showing she was typing. Then they disappeared. Then appeared again. Finally, they stopped and no message came. She had read it and chosen not to respond. I tried not to let it hurt. Tried to remember that this wasn't about our friendship anymore. It was about saving her. Over the next week, I sent 3 more messages. Each one carefully worded. Not angry or accusing. Just gentle invitations to talk. She didn't respond to any of them. Meanwhile, Catherine was making progress. She had contacted Jessica Ramsey, who agreed to provide a detailed statement about her experience with Marcus. Amanda Porter was harder to track down, but Catherine finally located her working at a diner 2 states away. Amanda was reluctant at first, still traumatized by what Marcus had done. But when Catherine explained that another woman was about to become his victim, Amanda agreed to help. We have written statements from both women, Catherine told me during one of our meetings at her office. Detailed accounts of how Marcus operated. The lies he told, the manipulation tactics, the financial schemes. It's damning evidence. Will it be enough? I asked. For Sarah to listen? I hope so. For legal prosecution? Still unclear. But at least we can warn her. I showed Catherine my unanswered messages to Sarah. She frowned. We need to try harder. Do you know where she works? She's a graphic designer. Works from home mostly, but she goes to a co-working space downtown a few times a week. I pulled up the address on my phone. Go there tomorrow, Catherine said. Intercept her. Make her talk to you. The confrontation. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I felt guilty lying to my supervisor. But this was more important. I drove downtown to the co-working space, a trendy converted warehouse with exposed brick and industrial lighting. The kind of place Sarah loved because it made her feel artistic and sophisticated. I parked across the street and waited. I felt like a stalker, sitting in my car watching the entrance. But I didn't know what else to do. After an hour, I saw her. Sarah walked up the street carrying her laptop bag and a coffee. She looked beautiful as always, her dark hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail, wearing designer jeans and a cashmere sweater that probably cost more than my weekly paycheck. Marcus's influence was clear. The old Sarah wore vintage thrift store finds and wasn't afraid to look quirky. I got out of my car and crossed the street, my heart pounding. Sarah. She turned, her eyes widening when she saw me. For just a second, I saw something flash across her face. Surprise? Happiness. But then her expression closed off, becoming cold and distant. Emma, what are you doing here? I needed to see you. You won't answer my messages. Because I don't want to talk to you. She started walking toward the building entrance. I followed. Sarah, please. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I don't have 5 minutes. But she stopped walking and turned to face me. What do you want, Emma? An apology? Fine. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. There. Happy. This isn't about my feelings. I'm worried about you. She laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Worried about me? My life has never been better. I'm getting married to an amazing man. I'm happy, Emma. Maybe you should try it sometime instead of judging everyone else's choices. I'm not judging you. I just want to make sure you're safe. Safe from what? From being happy? From moving forward with my life. Her voice rose. You know what I think, Emma? I think you're jealous. You've been stuck in the same place for years, and you can't handle that I'm not stuck there with you anymore. The words stung, but I pushed past the pain. Have you Googled Marcus? Looked into his past at all? Sarah's expression changed. Became defensive. Of course I have. I'm not an idiot. What did you find? That he's successful. That he has business ventures across multiple states. That he comes from a good family. Did you find anything about his previous marriages? Sarah's face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about. He's been married before, Sarah. Twice. Both times to women with money. Both times he disappeared after taking everything they had. That's a lie. But her voice wavered. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photo of Jessica Ramsey that Catherine had given me. This is Jessica. She married Marcus 4 years ago. He destroyed her life. And this is Amanda. Same story 2 years ago. You're not the first, Sarah. You're just the next target. Sarah stared at the photos, her face draining of color. But then she shook her head violently. I don't know who those women are or what they told you, but Marcus would never. Ask him about them. See what he says. No. I won't interrogate my fiancé because my jealous ex-friend is spreading lies. She backed away from me. Stay away from me, Emma. Stay away from Marcus. If you come near us again, I'll call the police. She turned and walked into the building, leaving me standing on the sidewalk alone. I had failed. I had tried to warn her, and she wouldn't listen. Marcus's hold on her was too strong. I called Catherine. She won't listen, I said, my voice breaking. I showed her the photos. Told her about Jessica and Amanda. She called me jealous and threatened to call the police if I contact her again. Catherine was quiet for a moment. That's not unexpected. Marcus has been isolating her and feeding her narratives about you for months. She's been programmed to reject anything negative about him. So what do we do now? We move to Plan B, Catherine said. We crashed the wedding, preparing for the impossible. The next 2 weeks were a blur of preparation. Catherine worked tirelessly gathering every piece of evidence she could find. She got Jessica and Amanda to agree to attend the wedding and confront Marcus in person. She documented his financial history, his pattern of fraud, his fake business ventures. I spent those weeks in a state of constant anxiety. I kept thinking about Sarah, wondering if she had asked Marcus about his past, wondering if she was having second thoughts. But I heard nothing from her. She had blocked my number and removed me from all social media. The wedding is this Saturday, Catherine said when we met 3 days before. Marcus's family estate in the countryside. It's going to be lavish. Over 200 guests. How do we even get in? I asked. I'm not invited, remember? Catherine smiled. Leave that to me. I've been a private investigator for 25 years. Getting into a wedding uninvited is child's play. She showed me the plan. Jessica and Amanda would arrive during the ceremony. Catherine had arranged for them to be let in by a sympathetic catering worker. I would come in separately through the kitchen entrance. We would wait until the critical moment during the ceremony, when the officiant asked if anyone objected to the marriage. And then we would speak. This is insane, I said. This is like something from a movie. Sometimes life requires dramatic action, Catherine replied. Are you ready for this? I thought about Sarah. About the girl I had grown up with. The friend who had held my hand at my father's funeral. The person I had loved like a sister for 15 years. Even if she hated me forever. Even if this ended our friendship permanently. Even if I became the villain in her story. I had to try. I'm ready, I said. The night before. The night before the wedding, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, rehearsing what I would say, how I would explain, how I would make Sarah understand that I was doing this because I loved her, not because I wanted to hurt her. Around midnight, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Emma? It's Amber, Sarah's cousin. We met a few years ago at her birthday party. I need to talk to you. I sat up, my heart racing. I typed back quickly. Hi, Amber. What's going on? Can you call me? It's important. I called immediately. Amber answered on the first ring. Emma, thank God. Listen, I don't have much time. I'm at Sarah's apartment helping with wedding stuff. But I'm worried about her. Why? What's wrong? She's been acting strange, quiet and distracted. And Marcus? Amber's voice dropped to a whisper. There's something off about him. He's very controlling. Gets angry when Sarah talks about her friends or her life before him. And I overheard him on the phone today talking about transferring money after the wedding. Large amounts. It sounded suspicious. My grip tightened on the phone. Amber, I need to tell you something. Marcus is dangerous. He's done this before to other women. He's going to take Sarah's money and disappear. I heard Amber's sharp intake of breath. Oh my God. I knew something was wrong. What can I do? Is Sarah there? Can I talk to her? She's sleeping. Emma, she cried herself to sleep tonight. I asked her what was wrong, and she said she was just stressed about the wedding. But I think maybe she knows something is wrong, but she's too afraid to admit it. My heart broke. Amber, tomorrow at the wedding, some things are going to happen. Things that might seem crazy. But I promise you, everything I'm doing is to protect Sarah. Can you trust me? Yes, Amber said without hesitation. What do you need me to do? Just be there for Sarah? When everything falls apart, she's going to need someone who loves her. After we hung up, I finally felt a small spark of hope. Maybe Sarah did sense something was wrong. Maybe beneath Marcus's manipulation, her instincts were trying to warn her. Tomorrow would tell. I set my alarm for early morning and finally drifted into an uneasy sleep, my dreams filled with white dresses and broken promises.